Mount Rushmore is an iconic site in the United States, located in the Black Hills in the land that is now known as South Dakota. 4 faces were carved into the hills into a sacred mountain known to the Lakota as the 7 Grandfathers. It really is a remarkable feat of arts and human ingenuity, as anyone who has seen them can testify to. Those 4 faces are the likenesses of Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt. Here are some of the things that they have said about indigenous peoples here on their lands. Here were the orders given by George Washington to General John Sullivan in 1779. The immediate objects are the total destruction and devastation of their settlements and the capture of as many prisoners of every age and sex as possible. It will be essential to ruin their crops now in the ground and prevent their planting more. After you have very thoroughly completed the destruction of their settlements, if the Indians should show a disposition for peace, I would have you to encourage it. But you will not by any means let an overture of peace before the total ruin of their settlements is effected. Our future security will be in their inability to injure us, the distance to which they are driven, and in the terror with which the severity of the chastisements they receive will inspire them. That's our first president. Now Thomas Jefferson, in his papers to Henry Dearborn in 1807. If ever we are constrained to lift the hatchet against any tribe, we will never lay it down till that tribe is exterminated or driven beyond the Mississippi. They must, if they wish to remain on the land which covers the bones of their fathers, to keep the peace with the people who ask their friendship without needing it, who wish to avoid war without fearing it. In war, they will kill some of us. We shall destroy all of them. In 1862, Abraham Lincoln ordered the hanging of 38 Dakota men in Minnesota, which is the largest public execution in U.S. history. The Dakota had been promised provisions by the U.S. government, but the government failed to keep its word, not for the last time. Facing starvation and an influx of white settlers, a conflict known as the Dakota War, that's one way to put it, soon broke out. This conflict lasted 5 weeks and resulted in the capture of hundreds of Dakotas. Trials were held without representation, some lasting less than 5 minutes. And while engaged in a quite bloody civil war, Lincoln argued without irony that white men as a race were not so much disposed to fight and kill one another as our red brethren. And then Theodore Roosevelt, during a speech in New York in 1886. I don't go so far as to think that the only good Indians are dead Indians, but I believe 9 out of 10 are. And I shouldn't like to inquire too closely into the case of the 10th. The most vicious cowboy has more moral principle than the average Indian. These are the words and the actions of 4 presidents whose faces are memorialized in the sacred Black Hills of South Dakota's Great Sioux territory. It should be noted that the U.S. government has tried to pay the Lakota for this land that was stolen by the breaking of a treaty. The money has been sitting in the U.S. Treasury for many, many decades. The Lakota have refused to take that money, knowing that the Black Hills have never been for sale. That fund is now worth a little over $2 billion. It's important to speak these words, particularly within the context of the celebrations of 250 years of our country's existence. It's within this context that our high schoolers arrived at the Pine Ridge Reservation about 2 weeks ago. It's not by accident that I have led a trip there 3 times, each time either encompassing or leading into July 4th. We can't celebrate a country without also recognizing the profound injustices that took place to make it a country in the first place. The youth and I have borne witness to the outcomes of the gross injustices, the profound inequality between the powerful and the powerless, both in Pine Ridge and in Alamosa. It's not just on reservations where we see the results of abuses of power and neglecting of the most vulnerable. It's everywhere. We go on these trips because there are stories to learn, skills to build in a world ready to be seen. If we remain within our own context, surrounded by the same people, no matter how great they are, then we will struggle to learn, struggle to grow. We're designed to exist in relationship with other people, becoming who we will be by encountering people within our communities and without. And we get to do things we never thought we would get a chance to do. Like, how many people can say that they have waded into knee-deep muck? Muck is the correct word. Barefoot in waders with a hoe to go carve out some space in a beaver dam to get some water flowing into gardens. I did not make friends with beavers that day. And I didn't foresee it happening a week and a half ago, but it did to me. I could have said no to the task, but let's be honest, when am I going to get the chance to break apart a dam again? A dam most assuredly has been rebuilt by now. And another thing that happened on this Pine Ridge trip was we woke up at about 3 a.m. to everyone's alarm going off because 3-inch size hail was hitting the reservation. Our tasks for the next day were delayed a little bit because the roads in which we were traveling were pummeled into canyons. So we had to wait a little bit. It's wild opportunities like that, as well as building beds for people that don't have one. Like serving food to people without some. Digging holes for outhouses, building a ramp so that someone can get in and out of their home, working in gardens, breaking apart beaver dams, and so much more. All these experiences help us to grow. It's the tasks and it's the stories we get to hear that make us into who we are, into who we will be. We heard countless stories from people in Alamosa as we served food in the shelter at La Puente. We got to meet kids on the reservation who had no reservation in playing with us. It was hearing care from elders who freely shared their wisdom with us. Our youth were able to experience different ways of living in this world, and often hard ways of living. People who live hard lives have profound truths to share with us, as the oppressed and the marginalized are often closer to the heart of God. And if we are unable to face these hard truths, then we deny ourselves the opportunity to experience the beauty found among the least of these. When these trips happen, I make it abundantly clear to our youth that we will see hard things, and we are not going to be the heroes. We're not there to help or to save anyone. We show up to serve in partnership with our neighbors because their hardship is our hardship. Their suffering is our suffering, and their liberation is our liberation. An Aboriginal woman named Layla Watson had this to say about that. If you have come to help me, you can go home again. But if you see my struggles as a part of your own survival, then perhaps we can work together. It's upsetting to see suffering. It should be upsetting. We should never be comfortable with the suffering that we see in others. It's natural to want to do something about it. Ram Dass speaks of the impulse we carry to do something. He says, frequently our reaction to suffering takes the form of having instantly to do something, do anything. It's the we gotta syndrome. We gotta fix this up right away. It's tricky because this impulse may arise from genuine empathy, but the form of action is compulsive. It's important to do things, to not sit idly by as our neighbors suffer. And the youth did really, really good work this summer. Important and beneficial work. But the most important work that they accomplished was in themselves. We didn't save anyone, but maybe we participated in our own liberation. The freedom to see the things the way they are, to become a people committed to justice. Maybe you're interested in the ROI of youth trips, the return on investment. You may want to see tangible change happen in making this world a better place. You want to see some pictures on a screen of what happens. You want to see these things. Often, the work of justice has no ROI. I promise you, though, that these youth and our leaders that joined in our youth walk away better people because of this work. These young people are our future leaders, and they are more than capable of being leaders right here, right now. I titled this sermon, Mitakye Oyasin. It's a Lakota phrase, it's a blessing that means something like, we are all related. It's a way of seeing the world, the human community, and all of creation as interconnected, as intimately intertwined. It's easy to ignore inconvenient pain. Those with privilege appreciate when undesirables, whoever you define them to be, are out of sight. They fall prey to the old adage, out of sight, out of mind, ignoring the truth that we all suffer if just some of us suffer. And so we push people onto reservations, onto streets, into slums, all to appease our own discomfort. In this paradigm, we are not related. We may be near each other, but our hearts and minds could not be further apart. This is an act of building walls, and the walls are reinforced by dozens of things, including economic exploitation and racism and homophobia and transphobia and so much more. But Mitakye Oyasin, my friends, we are all related. Archbishop Desmond Tutu said it this way: the word Ubuntu is very difficult to render into a Western language. It means you are generous, you are hospitable, you are friendly, and caring, and compassionate. You share what you have. It is to say, my humanity is caught up, is inextricably bound up in yours. We belong in a bundle of life. We say a person is a person through other persons. It is not, think, therefore I am. It says rather, I am a human being because I belong, I participate, and I share. These youth trips teach us that we are connected, and that life is made better when we all share in all that is. Friends, I hope and I pray that we can taste the freedom that is found in the liberating Spirit of God, and may we never be satisfied until justice rolls down like mani. It's the Lakota word for water. Amen.